When it comes to health, it can be really hard to stay motivated and consistent, and really easy to get confused. I know there's so much contradictory advice out there. Keto, vegan, low carb, high fat. Don't do cardio, only do cardio. Never eat sugar. Balance is good. Fast, don't fast. Ice baths, supplements, detox teas. I mean, I can't even think of everything. The list goes on and on. It's so exhausting. And trust me, I know every single fad diet and fad exercise routine out there because I've tried most of them. I want to tell you a story. So back when I was in university, I went through what I would call a crazy healthy phase. But honestly, looking back, I don't think it was really that healthy. I was barely eating. I was thinking about food all the time. I was spending up to, I think, 3 hours in the gym every single day, and then also training for a marathon. And I guess during that time you would say that I looked pretty fit, but I just didn't feel good. In fact, I felt like I was going crazy. All I could think about was food. When I was going to eat next, obsessing over every single meal, every carb, every calorie. I lost my period during that time, which is one of the first signs your body gives you as a woman that something is wrong, that you're not giving it what it needs. After 2 years of living like that, I decided enough was enough. I was clearly interested in healthy living, but I was listening to any and every influencer who claimed that they had the secret to weight loss and optimal health. And it got me to a really bad place listening to these people. So instead of chasing another trend, I decided to invest in my education. I did a year-long health coaching diploma with the Institute of Integrative Nutrition in New York, which consisted of hours and hours of online lectures by health professionals, doctors, professors. I even remember we had a few Nobel Prize winners, scientists, athletes, and all of these people were speaking about how to live better. We had live calls, tests, even an oral exam, the whole thing. And that year for me really changed my life and my outlook on health because it really gave me perspective. And today I love healthy eating. It's completely part of the fabric of my life. But more importantly, I have a healthy relationship with food and balance. And that is huge for me because for a big part of my early 20s, I just didn't have a healthy relationship with food at all. And right now, I wouldn't say I'm perfect. I love nothing more than a big bowl of pasta and a glass of red wine, and I probably eat too much salt. But for the most part, I feel really healthy. I feel energetic, clear-headed, and I feel balanced, where in the past I really didn't. But I also realize that it's not about being perfect, and it's definitely not about losing weight. This eating healthier and this whole episode, this whole episode is about being healthier and happier long term so that you feel capable and awake in your own life. I could say a lot about society's obsession with fitness, especially when it comes to women, this constant pressure we have to make women smaller and quieter and weaker. It's ridiculous. In one of my favorite books, The Beauty Myth by Naomi Wolf, she writes a quote that I'll never forget. She says, "A culture fixated on female thinness is not an obsession about female beauty, but an obsession about female obedience. Dieting is the most potent political sedative in women's history." That's a crazy line. I'm going to read that again. Dieting is the most potent political sedative in women's history. A quietly mad population is a tractable one. Wow. So in other words, when people, especially women, are underfed, exhausted, obsessing over calories, shrinking themselves physically and mentally, they are easier to control, easier to keep small and distract because you cannot step into your full energy, your full power, right? If you are constantly at war with your body, you don't have energy left to question the world. Health is not about obedience or discipline. Oh, I hate it when people talk about that or use that word and throw it around, discipline. It's ridiculous. It's not about that. It's not about going to war with your cravings and your desires. It's about vitality and strength and feeling fully alive in your body and living better. Welcome back to Lost and Found, the space where we're figuring things out in real time together. I'm your host, Carmen Vit, and come sit with me for a while. It's a really cozy, rainy evening in Yogyakarta at the moment, and I'm sitting in bed, and I'm sorry, but that's why you're not getting a video podcast today. It was such a hectic day. We drove an hour and a half out of the city to go see the oldest Buddhist temple in the whole world, and it was gorgeous. I was actually filming some content for a vlog that I'll be posting later this week, so I'm really excited about that. I haven't done a vlog yet, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. But we spent the whole day there, and then we drove back for an hour and a half in the pouring rain. Got here much later than I thought we would. I thought, okay, I'll do the podcast, but then the moment I had a warm shower and I got in bed, I was like, oh, I'm sorry. But that's part of it. That's part of balance, right? And that's also what the space is for. It's about being real and consistent and about getting the message out there. It's not about being perfect, so I'm cutting myself some slack. But next week, you will get another video podcast. Anyway, other than all of that, thinking about my life at the moment, I feel really good. I must say, I've been eating a lot of smoothie bowls here in Indonesia. Lots of veggies, good, simple foods. I've been moving my body, walking a lot, sleeping well, writing tons. I feel so creative, and that's always a sign for me that I'm healthy and that my mind is sharp. So I feel good. And I hope that wherever you're listening to this, whether you are on a walk or cooking yourself something beautiful, or maybe you're soaking in a bath, wherever you are, I hope that you are doing okay. Thanks for letting me into your space. I'll make the best of it. Okay, without further ado, here are my most foundational, easiest, sustainable tips for being healthier and actually sticking to it. So the first one, this is the biggest one they taught us during my health coaching course, and it's also been the biggest shift for me. And that is never diet, but crowd out. So crowding out means not restricting yourself, not punishing yourself, not having any rules for yourself about what you can and cannot eat, but simply filling your plate with food that is so good for you, with so much healthy food, that you're actually crowding out the bad stuff. That you just physically don't have that much space left on your plate or in your stomach or in your appetite for the things that aren't as good for you as the healthy stuff. Instead of obsessing over what you can't eat, you're actually just focusing on what you can add. So always make sure there are vegetables on your plate. Eat foods that look like real food, things that come from the ground and not from a lab. So real fruits and veggies. And yeah, again, this isn't about restricting. So if you want to eat pasta, eat pasta. But maybe choose whole wheat when you can. If you want to eat something sweet, eat something sweet. But maybe for the most part, try and first have like a banana with nut butter and honey and see if the craving is still there. If it's still there, then have your piece of chocolate, whatever, It's not a big deal as long as you are getting the nutrients in your body that you actually need. Because also the moment you completely restrict something, that's when you start obsessing over it. Restriction breeds fixation. But when you nourish yourself properly, the cravings soften naturally. You don't need to white knuckle your way through health. You just gently kind of like tip the scale towards better choices most of the time. And crowding out is really practical. It sounds like before anything else, I'm adding something nourishing, or I'm not removing pleasure, I'm just adding nutrition first. Or I'm going to build my plate around what my body needs and then enjoy what I want within that. So instead of saying I'm not allowed pasta, you're saying I'm going to add veggies and protein first and then have pasta too. Understand? Because what happens when you actually do that? Your blood sugar stays more stable. You feel fuller for longer because you're eating more nutrient-dense foods, more proteins. And by proteins, I obviously don't just mean animal proteins, but also plant-based proteins. I'm a vegetarian. I'm a big fan of beans and chickpeas and tofu and tempeh and all the things. But also, when you eat like this, your cravings soften. You don't get that crash that makes you rummage for snacks 2 hours after you've eaten. And you feel satisfied without feeling like you need to make up for it. It's not dramatic, but it works. Crowding out works because it doesn't trigger that scarcity panic in your brain, that feeling like, oh, I'm not allowed to have this, so I'm going to think about it all the time. Make sense? Okay, number 2. Allow yourself to feel good. Yeah, I know, it sounds stupid, it sounds simple, but it's actually quite radical, so give me a moment to explain it. When I say allow yourself to feel good, what I mean is a lot of people associate being healthy with feeling deprived, not eating enough, being tired, and slightly hungry all the time, or maybe a lot hungry, and kind of just being miserable when you're quote unquote dieting. And so eating healthy, we've kind of equated with dieting and low energy and brain fog and being sluggish and hangry and grumpy all the time. But that's not what eating healthy is. When I was in my obsessive phase, I didn't feel good at all. I looked fit and skinny, but I was under eating, overtraining, constantly thinking about food. And I noticed something really interesting. It made me more irritable because I was tired. I wasn't getting enough nutrition. I felt physically cold all the time. So I didn't feel like warm and comfy. My body literally shut down my period to conserve energy. And that's not healthy. That's a sign that you're physically in survival mode. And I think a lot of people are walking around in low-level survival mode and they're calling it dieting or discipline. And that's just so sad because for me now, I associate eating healthy with feeling just like full of goodness. And like there's just this abundance of nutrients and good things moving through your body and feeding your cells and feeding your muscles and your skin. And it makes me feel really glowy and magnetic and energetic. So allow yourself to feel that by actually eating enough of the good things. A lot of people think that eating healthy is like this all or nothing. You either have to eat healthy and go on a diet, so restrict your calories, or if you're not restricting your calories, then you might as well just eat a bunch of junk. And I don't know, I don't really get that mindset. The shift really comes in when you are eating enough. So eat until you're full. Eat in a way that actually nourishes you, not just controls you. Because the moment you start properly nourishing yourself with enough healthy fats and protein and complex carbs like whole wheat things and actual food, that's when the interesting thing happens of your baseline shifting. That's when your body starts to really feel good. Because even when you're eating healthy but you're not eating enough, you'll still feel sluggish and tired and low energy because you're just not getting enough food in your body. And also discipline and restricting yourself. You're like constantly thinking about food and how low-key hungry you are. But the good things start happening. You start to feel the benefits. When you're eating healthy, yes, but you're also feeding yourself enough. You feel full. But then another interesting thing happens. You start to feel what it feels like to have stable energy, not to crash at 3 p.m., not to be constantly thinking about your next meal. And then, this is the wild part, you start noticing how certain foods actually make you feel. You start to notice what makes you feel heavy or bloated or sometimes even anxious. Some foods can make you anxious. They can make you crash. And then you also realize, wow, after I eat this, I feel amazing. I have energy. But you can only really notice those things when you tune into your body, and you tune into your body when you nourish it, when you are filling it with good, nutrient-dense foods. If you're running on caffeine, sugar spikes, undereating, stress, late nights, and all of these things for years, you don't even know what good feels like anymore. So of course you keep repeating the same patterns because you don't know. So I think it's super important that instead of asking, how do I lose weight or how do I control my cravings, you should ask, How can I support my body so well that it feels safe, steady, and energized? Health should feel expansive and grounded and make you feel clear and good, not obsessive or like tight and like you're punishing yourself. And if your version of healthy makes you feel constantly deprived or anxious, that's your sign that it's not actually healthy for you. The goal isn't to be smaller. The goal is to feel strong and capable and awake in the long run. Not just for the next 3 weeks until the summer and you have to be in a bikini, but for the rest of your life. You are looking after this body, this vessel of yours that is going to carry you and be your home for the rest of your life. And you deserve to feel good in that home. And that home deserves to be taken care of. Okay, number 3. Eat colorful. This one is probably one of the simplest shifts you can make, and it sounds almost a little childish, like, eat color. But there's something very intuitive about it. When your plate is beige, for instance, so there's a lot of pasta and bread and fried nonsense on there and processed snacks, it usually means that you're not getting a wide range of nutrients. But when your plate is bright, so it's filled with greens and oranges and purples and reds, natural ones, obviously, you're almost automatically giving your body more of what it needs. So different colors in fruits and vegetables represent different phytonutrients and vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and all the good things that you need. And these don't just affect your physical health, they affect your brain. There's so much research showing that the way we eat directly impacts our mood and our mental health and even our cognitive performance. That's crazy. And that was also one of the biggest topics during my year doing the health coaching course. Food affects your mental health directly. And when you hear that, you realize it actually makes total sense because we are what we eat. Food isn't just calories, it's information. It tells your body how to function, it tells your brain how to feel, it tells your cells how to repair. And I think we underestimate how much our low moods and our anxiety and sluggishness can sometimes be amplified by what we're feeding ourselves every single day. And this doesn't have to be complicated. Again, crowding out, just adding the good things. So that can literally be add spinach to your eggs, add berries to your yogurt, add roasted veggies to your dinner, add a side salad, add mango to your smoothie and some chia seeds. It's just addition. It doesn't have to be perfection. When I look at my plate, something I like to ask myself is there color here? Is there something fresh, something alive? Because the more alive our food is, the more alive we tend to feel. And again, it's not about restriction. You can still have the pasta. You can still have the dessert. But is your baseline whole foods, vibrant food, colorful food? Everything else balances itself out much more naturally from there. So health doesn't have to be about removing things. It can just be about bringing your plate back to life. I love that. Okay, number 4. Now we move to movement. So I want to tell you to move in a way that you actually enjoy. Because if you hate your workouts, you will not stick to them. It's that simple. I think we've absorbed this idea that exercise has to be punishing to count, or that it only works if you're drenched in sweat or exhausted or kind of miserable. And if not, then it's not hardcore enough. It's not effective. But that mindset is exactly what makes people quit after 2 weeks. Because no one can white knuckle their way through something they dread forever. Movement is not supposed to be something that you dread. It's supposed to give you energy, not steal it. And this is something that I really had to relearn after my marathon health craze phase. Because I really didn't like going to the gym. But I forced myself to for 2 hours every single day to go weightlifting, which I now realize is something that I truly don't enjoy. I like long walks. I like slow runs. I like Pilates. I like dance classes. That's what I enjoy. And now I can do that long term without feeling that it burns me out or it's something that I dread. It's something that I actually really look forward to. It feels like me time, time that I'm investing back into myself and my health. And I think that's what it's supposed to feel like. When exercise just becomes about burning calories and shrinking your body or earning your food, it just completely stops being joyful and it becomes almost transactional. I ran, so now I deserve to eat, or I skipped the gym, so now I have to restrict what I eat. That's not a healthy relationship with movement. Movement is something your body is designed to do. It's not punishment. It's something that you should enjoy, that makes you happy. So then the question shifts from what burns the most calories to what makes me feel alive. Find the things that you really enjoy and then kind of build exercise around that. If you love community, take a community dance class, like a group dance class. If you love being outdoors, go for a hike or for long walks. If you love reading, listen to audiobooks while you walk. If you love music, try like Zumba classes or spin classes. If you like slow movement and like high cardio stuff isn't really your thing, try Pilates or yoga. If you feel like you're not spending enough time with your friends, try tennis. Play tennis with them. And it's really interesting when there's also a competitive aspect added to the exercise. You kind of forget you're exercising and it just feels like play, like when you were a kid, which I really like. You can try swimming, surfing. I also know a few women who do recreational burlesque classes, which I think is so cool. You know, whatever makes you feel playful, do that. And if right now all you can manage is a 20-minute walk around your neighborhood, that counts. Consistency beats intensity. You don't need to start training 6 days a week. In fact, please don't do that. That's how you burn out and you stop after like week 3. Start small, make it enjoyable, make it sustainable. Because people who move regularly tend to have more energy, not less. When I make sure that I move my body consistently, I always have better clarity, better moods, better sleep, more confidence. You're not just building muscle, you are building cardiovascular health. You are clearing brain fog. You are strengthening your bones for when you're old and you have to climb the stairs. And you're also building momentum, right? Momentum when you are consistent with these things. And that momentum spills over into everything else in your life. Health is definitely not about forcing yourself into someone else's routine. It's about finding a rhythm that feels like yours and then returning to it again and again and again. Okay, number 5. This one is super important. Shift your mindset. If your why is shallow, your habits won't last. If you are exercising or eating healthy for a flat stomach in the summer, or to look good in photos, or to impress someone, that motivation probably will fade. It always does, because aesthetics are unstable. But energy, vitality, feeling good, that's different. This is about long-term energy. This is about having energy to wake up and feel clear and to chase your dreams and build things and be creative and be patient with the people you love. It's about having energy to actually enjoy your life. Because when you're constantly tired and sluggish or inflamed and you feel foggy-brained, your world shrinks and you stop taking risks, you stop initiating things, you scroll instead of creating, you postpone instead of pursuing. Low energy literally lowers the ceiling of your life. And I don't think we talk about that enough. There's a reason why people who move their bodies regularly often seem way more productive and optimistic. Because exercise improves circulation, oxygen flow, hormone regulation, brain function. You literally think more clearly when your body is supported. So this isn't about shrinking yourself. It's about expanding your capacity. That is the mindset shift. It's about becoming someone who feels strong enough, physically and mentally, to show up fully in your life. And I think that when we frame health this way, it stops feeling superficial and it becomes an act of reverence. You're not dieting to be smaller. You're nourishing yourself so you can be more present, more alive, more capable. And when that becomes the goal, the daily choices feel less like chores and more like alignment. You're not trying to fix yourself. You're trying to support the life that you want to live, the life you deserve to live. And that's a powerful thing. It's a powerful mindset shift. This is exactly why I'm hosting a wellness retreat to Thailand this June. It's 10th to 18th June 2026 in the mountains of northern Thailand in the Chiang Mai Pai region, which is one of my favorite areas in the whole world. We'll be doing daily yoga, nature walks, mindfulness practices. I'm currently busy curating a whole week of guided journaling for every morning. We are also only going to eat plant-based organic meals that come straight from the farm where we'll be staying. Everyone gets their own little cabin, and every day we'll have either a workshop on cooking healthy food or living more sustainably or making our own organic self-care products, which is so cool, always something that I've wanted to do. And this is definitely not going to be about doing some kind of crash diet retreat for a week. It's really just about stepping out of your normal environment and remembering what it feels like to live well. We will be spending time outside in the sun, in nature. We'll be together. This is definitely not a 7 countries in 6 days type of group trip. It's more an opportunity to give your nervous system a reset and really reconnect with your body and nature and like-minded people. So if you're interested, I will leave a link to all the info down below, and I really hope to meet you there. Okay, rule number 6, the 80-20 rule, and I'm sure you've heard of it. This is really where balance comes in. So the 80-20 rule is 80% of your life or 80% of meals that you eat, make it nourishing, and then 20% is for pleasure and for things that maybe we would traditionally label as not that good for you. And I know that can sound like another rule or another ratio to track, but the beauty of this rule is that it's not meant to be obsessive at all. It's meant to be freeing, because the goal is not going to be perfection when you think of the 80-20 rule. The goal here is to make health sustainable. Because if you try to eat perfectly all the time, 2 things can happen. First, you can either become rigid and you can get to a point where you don't even want to go to dinner parties with your friends anymore. You don't want to go out for a meal at a nice restaurant because you're so scared that you won't have something perfectly healthy to eat. Or a second thing can happen, and that is that you will eventually rebel and swing the other way and feel like, what's even the point? I'm just going to eat junk all the time or eat what I want to eat. So that's not what we want. No one can live with restriction forever. And you shouldn't live with restriction at all in the first place. Because the more you demonize certain foods, the more power you give those foods. So 80-20 says, most of the time, you nourish your body, you eat real food, you support your energy, you do the crowding out. But then sometimes when you feel like it, have the dessert, drink the wine, eat the pasta, and do it without spiraling, without feeling guilty. You're not doing anything wrong. But there's another mindset shift that I want to add in here. So when we say 80% nourishment, 20% treat, I want to reframe it a little bit. Nourishing your body is the treat. Nourishing your body is not the punishment. We treat junk food as the reward and vegetables as the chore. But feeling energized and strong and clear-headed and eating real good healthy food, that's a privilege. We are incredibly lucky to have access to fresh food and clean water and healthcare and movement. Incredibly lucky. And I realize that more and more every day as we're traveling through Indonesia right now in these small towns. In some of these small towns, we would go literally a week without eating vegetables because these people that are really poor in the smaller, more rural areas, they don't even have access to vegetables. They eat mie goreng almost for every meal, which is like 2-minute noodles and 1 egg. So That's crazy to me then, to think that people are treating the ability, the privilege to eat fresh food and vegetables as if it's a chore, as if it's a punishment. No! Change your mindset. You are really lucky. And also, when you consistently take care of yourself, another subtle shift happens. Your self-respect grows because you're keeping your promises to yourself. You're showing up for yourself. And that builds confidence. I also like to think of 80-20 in a practical way, like how a parent would raise a child. So if you had a kid, you wouldn't feed them sugar all day, would you? No. You'd want them to grow up strong. You'd cook them nourishing meals. But you'd also let them have ice cream sometimes, and you wouldn't shame them for it, right? But you would also teach them that when you get the ice cream, enjoy it slowly. Savor it. Don't inhale the ice cream. Really enjoy it when you have it. So why would you treat yourself and your own health and how you eat with more rigidity than you treat someone you love? Health is not about policing yourself. It's about caring for yourself. And when you get that balance right, when 80% of your life supports you and the 20% doesn't derail you, it just becomes part of a full, joyful, beautiful life. Okay, number 7, the last one. If you look at the research around longevity, especially in places often referred to as the blue zones, where people live the longest, one of the biggest predictors of health isn't a specific diet, and this is so interesting to me. When I was back home in South Africa, about a month and a half ago, I went on a health retreat with my mother. It was the best time. The place is called the Hydro in Stellenbosch in the Western Cape. All the guests got to watch a documentary called The Secrets of the Blue Zones. And it's a little series that's on Netflix. I really advise you to go watch it. The main guy on the screen who did all the research, who's like hosting it. That's the word I'm looking for. The host of the Blue Zone. He was also one of our main teachers during my wellness course, which is really cool. So his research found that one of the biggest predictors for a healthy long life is not just necessarily diet, but connection. Connection meaning community. So it's feeling like you belong somewhere, like you matter, like someone would notice if you weren't there. And I find that so comforting because it means that health isn't just about what's on your plate, but also who's around your table. We are not meant to live isolated lives. We're not meant to eat every meal in front of a screen. We're not meant to scroll for hours instead of talking to each other. And yet, so many of us do. And then we wonder why we feel low or disconnected or flat. You can eat all the kale in the world, but if you feel alone and purposeless, something will still be missing. So part of being healthier and happier long-term is asking, who am I spending my time with? Do I feel supported? Do I have meaningful conversations? Do I laugh regularly? Do I feel useful? And that word useful is important because people who live long, vibrant lives often feel like they have a reason to wake up. They have roles in their families or in their communities. They feel needed. They feel like they have a purpose in their life because purpose regulates us. And that's where this term of ikigai comes in. But I want you to go listen to last week's episode. It's called What Actually is the Meaning of Life? And I go into depth into this idea of purpose and meaning and ikigai. Really interesting. So I'm not going to touch on that here, but go listen to it. Generally, it relates to purpose, and purpose regulates us. It gives our stress somewhere to go, and it makes our daily habits feel connected to something larger. So host small dinner parties, or call your friends, or go on walks together. Don't eat every meal in front of Netflix. Put your phone down when someone's talking to you. And also, surround yourself with people who care about living well. Health and energy are contagious. If the people around you normalize constant burnout, junk food, negativity, disconnection, that will become your baseline too. But when you're around people who move their bodies or talk about ideas and cook meals and laugh easily, that type of energy is also really contagious. Health is not an individual sport, it's relational. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for your well-being isn't adding another supplement. Maybe it's like picking up the phone and talking to your mom or to an old friend, feeling that connection, feeling that purpose in your life. I think at the end of the day, being healthier and happier isn't about biohacking your life, making all these rules for yourself, restricting. No, it's not about supplements or tracking every macro or becoming a different person. It's just about coming back to something simpler. Don't overcomplicate it. Eat mostly food that comes from the ground. Drink water. Move your body in ways that feel good. Get some sunshine. Laugh with people you love. And do small things every day that make you enjoy being alive. We've turned health into something so complicated, so aesthetic and marketable, but really it's just about consistency, yes, but also about reverence for your body and for your life. It's about remembering that your body is not your enemy, it's your home, and you only get one. So take care of it in a way that feels sustainable, in a way that expands your life instead of shrinking it. That was a lot. And I was preaching to my younger self as much as I am talking to you. I really hope it landed. If this episode resonated with you, if it meant something to you, please send it to a friend who might need to hear it. I would really appreciate it if you shared this on your Instagram story, or if you subscribed, or if you left a review, if you're listening on a podcast platform, or a comment. That genuinely helps the podcast grow. I read every single comment, every review, and it helps the podcast reach the people that need to hear it most. I would really appreciate that. And it also means I get to keep sitting here on rainy days and having these conversations with you. So if I can leave you with one idea, it would be that if you are trying to build healthier habits right now, start small. One walk, one vegetable, one earlier night, one honest check-in with yourself. That's enough. It doesn't have to be complicated, and you definitely don't have to be hard on yourself. Thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me into your space. And don't forget to get a little lost this week. That's where the magic finds you. Until next time.